not around, have you found I'm always on your mind? And when you hear my name, does it sound the same as you felt when you heard it last time? Do you see flowers in my hair that aren't really there? Do you feel the pain when I'm blue? And when you see me, does it seem to be that blues change to life in bloom? 'Cause this is how I see you, and these are the things you do. You may not know, so I'm telling you so, the best way I know how to. Welcome, everyone, to the Boiling Point Podcast Live. I am your host, JD, and this is a very special episode, a milestone episode for us. This is going to be the episode where we will break our first story. This is not being covered by the local ABC, NBC, and CBS news stations. So we're going to pave the way and lead the charge here, which is the reason that I created the Boiling Point Podcast in the first place. And we getting the opportunity to do it, I'm very honored. Mariana Reed is going to be joining me for this episode. She was on, if you remember, late last year. She was running for the West Shore School District Board, the school board of the West Shore School District. And we're going to talk about a great many things tonight and throughout the summer. This is going to be an ongoing report, and we're going to be covering much stuff throughout the entire summer. So make sure you stay tuned for that. Thank you for everybody who's watching right now. Please take a moment to hit that like button. Feel free to leave us a comment, and please share it out. And if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, may I strongly suggest you go to Rumble right now, just in case something happens and we get removed. We had an episode, our last episode about Israel was removed with Pastor Gavin right in the middle of the episode. Facebook took us down. So please tune into Rumble. That's where you're going to, if they take us down on YouTube or Facebook, Rumble is the only place that you're going to be able to watch us. So if you're not watching there, may I suggest you go there right now. Marcus Fredrickson played us in, as he plays us in and out of every episode on the Boiling Point Podcast. Make sure you check out his music, reverbnation.com/Marcus Fredrickson. Share out your favorite song and visit our storefront, bonfire.com/store/the Boiling Point Podcast. Pick yourself up some apparel. You can't see it very good, but I'm wearing the American Cross design tonight, and it's the Second Amendment shirt. It's got the Second Amendment text, the exact text of the Second Amendment on the back. Please pick up, go to our storefront, check some stuff out, pick up a piece of apparel, and support the show. Mariana?
Yes.
Yeah, very big episode for us. We've had to keep things close to the vest with this episode for a reason. We've been very, very quiet this year, the Boiling Point Podcast. We haven't produced the same amount of episodes. People know that we've been working on something, and finally we get to reveal what that is. And even now, you're here because of some legal issues that we're going to talk about later on. So thank you for being able to, fill in.
Thank you for inviting me.
So let's go back to the beginning first. We had you on last. You were running for the school board. Now,
That's
you did
correct.
not. How did your race go?
Well, considering that I was a write-in, and write-ins are very difficult to win, no, I did not win, but I got about 20% of the votes. And considering that my signs were being stolen, and I really didn't have the backup of the Republican Party, because they did not want me to run on issues, and I'm going to run on issues. Okay, so all that played, but yet and still, the important thing was this, and I'll tell you this. The important thing was that the word got out as to what was happening with the West Shore School District. And believe it or not, a lot of people that were voting, and we had a lot of veterans come out, they mentioned the Boiling Point Podcast. Okay, and they mentioned that they found out what was happening in the West Shore through this podcast, and they were shocked that these things were occurring, because they thought that the West Shore was still that quiet, conservative school district that it once was, to find out that it wasn't. So I thank you for that, to help us get the word out there.
Yeah, absolutely. I was shocked when when we first started talking, that I wasn't after Mariana was on. We began talking a little bit more. And she brought me more up to speed and got me more involved with what was happening. And I couldn't believe that it wasn't being covered anywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of news stations have they've mentioned it, on their news program, or they mention it in a very small article, and I mean very small, on their websites. But it's always been in passing. They're not going in depth. They're not really talking about it at all.
Correct.
So that's what I was most shocked about as well.
Hmm.
Christy, thank you for tuning in. We appreciate that. But after that, I found out, and that's how I got more involved. But we decided that we couldn't just, I needed to dig in. The Boiling Point podcast, we do make sure we vet our information, we investigate things. And this being something that is not, people who follow us know that we usually talk about, we cover the coverage, what's happening in the world, and we talk about that, help people put it in perspective. Go sort through the headlines a little bit so that you don't have to spend as much time reading 6 or 7 different stories. So, in order to do this, being that we were breaking the story, the amount of investigation and vetting that I was doing was extensive, which is why it took so long. Uh,
Hmm.
you said you didn't mention, or you did not win your seat. However, the school board flipped 5-4 conservative
That's
now
correct.
as a result of the election as well.
That's correct. And so it was a victory, but we knew that that was just the beginning, that it was going to be a battle. And why, were we flipped? Because the people opened their eyes and the people are tired of what's happening. So they decided that it's time for us to take our schools back. And I thank everybody who came out and everybody who listened and got the correct people in those positions, in those seats. So although I didn't win, I'm still very active. I'm in almost every school board. Okay. And I'm still helping the parents to the best of my abilities.
And now you have officially the Boiling Point podcast backing you as well. So now we're just going to be able to get the word out there even a little bit more quicker.
Hmm.
And if any of our haters are watching out there, if you thought that we were gone, boy,
Hmm.
have you do not learn who we are, but you're about to, because we did not go anywhere. We simply sat back and waited and bided our time. And that's why we needed to keep quiet, because you said a lot of people saw the first coverage when you were on the episodes. A lot of people saw that. We were not mentioned by name. This person, I wish I would have gotten the clip. I'll get it for the next episode. But this person mentioned our podcast. You were appearing
Yes.
on our podcast.
Hmm.
He's an idiot, but he was a smart idiot because he didn't mention us by name, so he wasn't going to give us the marketing. So he's a smart idiot, but an idiot nonetheless. So it is great that we're getting the name out there, and I'm glad that people are going to know to come here so that we can track this and give you all of the facts and all of the information. Now, as a result of, maybe not as a result of that, but every 2 or 3 years, we were talking before this episode. Let's jump forward a little bit now to one of the things that was happening this year that needed to happen anyway, was a new solicitor.
Correct. Correct. The parents, for a while now, the majority of the parents in the West Shore School District was dissatisfied, okay, with the particular solicitor that we had. Okay, and they had many a times in meetings requested, and stated that we needed a new solicitor. And it's kind of sad because, um, the solicitor has a lot of duties, but the solicitor was not showing any real concern, according to the parents, as to the rights of the parents and the rights of the children, and advising the board, as solicitors should, to really consider the curriculums that they're allowing to come in, and whether it's the curriculum that this particular, say, district or region would benefit from, because they weren't. And in essence to that, like I think we spoke in the previous podcast, we had some lawsuits on the social emotional learning curriculum that is horrendous. It's totally horrendous. Now the parents won the suit. Okay, some board members will tell you, well, they didn't want the suit. We settled. Yeah, you settled because you were losing. Okay, and also because and it was around the time of the election, and they were really concerned as to how that was going to affect the election, and that played a major role, because you were silencing a parent. You were taking the right of the parent to and this was like religious discrimination. You were taking the right of the parent of not opting out their children. Okay, and the problem with these curriculums is that they should be opt in versus opt out, because when you want to opt out, they make you jump through a lot of hoops. I tried it myself. I tried to opt out our kids, and we were denied. Okay, they made it so difficult, okay, to opt out the kids. So yeah, the parent won that lawsuit, and there were a lot of things that you had to consider, and she's been there for quite some years. Okay, so
Yes,
a new RFP was needed.
before we get more into that, what is the role of a solicitor? What is that job for anybody who doesn't
Yeah.
know right now? And actually, I'm sorry, before you do that, if there's any other parents within the West Shore School District or any other school district that would like the help of the Boiling Point podcast, or if you're in the West Shore School District and you want to be a part of what we're doing here to help the parents out, please send us a message. We're on Facebook, YouTube, and of course Rumble. You can email me at jdboilingpoint@gmail.com, and we'll be happy to get you involved or render some assistance. So Mariana, what is a solicitor's job within a school board?
Okay, so you know me, I'm about research, research, research. So I asked myself that question because a lot of parents out there don't know. Okay, so basically, the duties of a solicitor is offering advice on legal and policy matters to the school board, researching legal issues that affect the school district, representing the school district in litigation, matters of litigation, advocating for the school board before courts and administrative bodies, drafting and making recommendations on policies. That was a key one right there. Okay, assisting with labor and employment matters, drafting and reviewing contracts for supplies, construction projects, real estate, and et cetera, et cetera. And that was a major one because if you've been following us, you know everything that happened with the Brins organization. So we had an organization coming into our schools with no contract. Hello. Okay. And ensuring compliance with state and federal regulations governing the operations of schools. So that is a
That's
brief
what a
list.
solicitor's that's what a
Yes, for solicitor.
solicitor's job is supposed to be. What That's what they're supposed to do. And
Correct.
now how often you said this person, the previous solicitor, has been there for some time. How long have they been there?
Now, you see, I had a little project that I gave myself during the year, and all this that you see here, and I can provide you copies, okay, are right to knows. Okay. So I
Okay.
did right to knows on certain issues because you see, I speak a lot in the school board meetings, and I don't want to ever accuse somebody or say something that somebody's doing that they're not. So due to that, and I really wanted to get to the course of what was happening, I did some
Yeah.
right to knows. And according to the right to knows that I did on this issue, um and we should get a new solicitor every 2 to 3 years because that's what we call good business. You want to make sure you
Okay.
got the right person and you're paying the right money and you're getting the best worker and work that you can, okay, for the money. All right.
Okay.
But this particular solicitor, according to the right to know that I did, have been there since 2012.
2012. That's 12 years.
Yes.
So you're talking about something that needs done every now. Was this thing that needs done? What is this thing that needs done?
So it is called an RFP. It's a request for proposal. And what you do, it's like when big companies put bids out there to say you want to have a job in your house done. I don't know, tuck masonry, for example. So you want to see who's going to bid the best price and what services they're providing. It's the same concept, only that it's more in the professional realm.
It's like almost like an estimate, but like a reverse estimate, where you're putting out a request for people to submit estimates on what it's going to cost them to do this job that you
That's
have.
correct. That's correct.
So that's okay. Good. So then RFP is a request for proposal for anybody who wants to know that. Now, okay, so you're supposed to do this every 2 to 3 years. And yes, Christy, 12 years was how long the previous solicitor was there. Yes, that's correct. Now, it's supposed to be done every 2 to 3 years. This person's been here for 12 years. So I'm going to assume that this RFP that's supposed to be done every 2 to 3 years just meant that this person said submitted the best bid. Is that a fair assumption? Is that a correct or what's that?
That's correct. I mean, it's the best bid and also the service that they're providing. Okay. And we were also looking for somebody that was going to have the best interest of the entire school board. Okay. Because, once you're in a position for X amount of years, you make friendships, there's bonds that you make. But a solicitor has to be somebody that's impartial. Okay. And it's going to represent the whole group, not a portion of the group. And we
So was
have
the
situations like that going on.
so is the RFP done every 2 to 3 years for this person that had it every for
No,
12 years?
obviously it was not. Okay, it was
Oh,
not.
okay.
Okay, and there is
So it's been 12.
questions.
So this solicitor has been here for 12 years, and it's been 12 years since an RFP has been done.
Correct. According to the right to know that was sent to me by Ryan Argot. Yes.
Oh, and okay, thank you, Christy. Christy, if you would like to leave in the comments who you are so that people could know that they can take what you're saying in the comments as fact also, please feel free to do that. I want to make sure you're going to do that. I'm not going to I'm not going to do that. You do that, and then I'll say it on the air. So, okay, it's been 12 years since one's been done. This person's been here for 12 years, so it's time. So you guys have a new school
Yeah.
board. You have the majority. Um, and so now you can go through is the issue that because it's 5-4 now to the conservative side. So before that, it was what five? It was split. The other side, liberal side, Democratic side, whatever you might want to call them, they had the majority.
Yes, I mean almost the whole board at that point in time was liberal, with the exception of Heidi Thomas.
Okay,
Okay, so
so
she was always outvoted.
so it hasn't been done. So now that you guys have control, this is something that you guys want to get done because it hasn't been done, and that you're saying it needs to be done every 2 to 3 years. It hasn't been done in 12 years. This person's been here for 12 years, and likely because of relationships, maybe they're not able to continue to do the job of solicitor. So
Correct.
you
Correct.
guys put forward, or not you, because you're not on the board,
No.
but the majority decide to that they want a new solicitor or to do an RFP.
Correct. Well, the way that happened, it was around January 9th, I want to say. Mrs. Thomas, who was the president, and Mrs. Brent, who was the vice president, decided that they wanted to add an RFP for the solicitor on the agenda. Now, everything that I'm speaking is public knowledge because you can see it on the videos, and you can pull the agendas online at the West Shore School District because it is public knowledge.
Yep.
Now, what happened basically is she provides a copy of the RFP to the superintendent, Todd Stoltz, and to Ryan Argott. And Ryan Argott, because it's like the second time I've mentioned his name for the people who don't know, he is the director of federal programs and student services, and he's also the board secretary. Okay, so Mrs. Brent and Mrs. Thomas told them to make the RFP available to the board members the same day and to disseminate after scanned. They assured her that all the board members would receive it on a timely fashion because everything has to be done before the meeting. Okay, they must have forgotten what they stated to her because the school board did not receive it until a full hour before the school board meeting on January 11th. Now, mind you, she gave it on the 9th. They should have gotten it on the 9th, no later than the 10th, but they got it on the 11th, an hour before the school board meeting. And by doing so, okay, it appeared as though Mrs. Brent and Mrs. Thomas were in violation of the Sunshine Act, and that she was a novice who did not know what she was doing. And it's not the first time they try to make her look like a novice. Okay, during the board meeting on the 11th, now I was there. Okay, several board members became very hostile and disrespectful, using words towards her that were like really, out of line, stating that she had composed a secret RFP. The reality is that she was set up by the superintendent, by Todd Stoltz.
All right, now hold on. I'm going to have to interrupt you right there because that's what the lawsuit is violation of the Sunshine Act is doing.
Hmm.
Is claiming that they didn't go through the correct procedure. So I want to make
Correct.
sure that we avoid exactly, or, talking
Anything
about the
else?
wrong thing with that. So
Hmm.
now you're saying there is no violation, and of course
No.
I believe, and of course I know that there is both proof and evidence that there is no violation of the Sunshine Act. For anybody who wants to know, I'm going to read to you what the Sunshine Act is. The Pennsylvania Sunshine Act 65 PA CS 701-716 requires agencies to deliberate and take official action on agency business in an open and public meeting. It applies to public agencies, which include Pennsylvania executive branch agencies, the General Assembly, and municipal authorities, such as township boards of supervisors and local school boards. The law gives the public the right to attend these meetings, receive prior notice, and comment before an agency takes official action. Now, without talking about anything more regarding the lawsuits, because we have to be careful as well, we don't have one on retainer
Correct.
at the moment. Of course, we may need to get one, but you can actually go and look at all the public stuff and see that no one is in violation of the Sunshine Act because all the school boards meetings and everything is out there in the public. You can go to the West Shore School District and you can find them. Everything is broadcast live on the internet, and you can go to the website and review them at any time. So, but there's this lawsuit now, which is why we can't go talk anything more about the solicitor.
Correct.
This is one of the things the school board wanted to do. They did it. They were well within their rights to do so. They were well within the law the way they went about it.
That is
But
correct. And
but
if you
but
look at
but
something, I'm sorry.
a lawsuit is filed, so that's going to be the extent that we could talk about that right now. We will be bringing you more facts as we can about this lawsuit. As soon as we can reveal any information about it, we will certainly reveal any information about it. And that's also what delayed us from last month. We were going to start this coverage last month. Then the lawsuit happened just like a week and a half, I think, before we were going to launch. We had to change up some of the guests. We had to change the format of how we were going to present this story. We have people who were going to come on, guests who are still planning to come on once this lawsuit is resolved. That can't come on right now because there's a lawsuit active, and we don't want to get anybody into trouble, nor do we want to get ourselves into trouble. So unfortunately, when it comes to the solicitor, that is going to be the extent that we can report. They were well within their right. It was time for a new solicitor. It had been 12 years since an RFP had been done. They did one. They found one. They did it at a school board meeting. There was opening for public comments and public discussion. They took a vote. The vote was 5-4, and the new solicitor was voted in. Those are the facts that we know of right now. And as far as I believe the case or the lawsuit will reveal that those are the facts in terms of a court of law, and I believe the lawsuit will be likely dismissed. Of course, I'm not a lawyer. Keep in mind, I'm not a lawyer, nor do I have any legal training that I'm going to that anybody should take what I'm saying as fact when it comes to that regard. That is all what I think personally, based on what I know about the situation.
Now, I
That is
do
why
want
we
to
were
add
ultimately.
something in
Go
what you're
ahead.
saying, and
Yes.
that is, and and this is what I would like the parents that are listening to me to do. Okay, um, Jonathan gave you the definition of the Sunshine Act. Okay, go to the videos, go to the West Shore School District online videos, pull up that video of when they voted out Miss Say. Okay, and tell me where in with this definition, where do you see the violation? Because a lot of it, I know we're busy as parents, we're busy, and we can't make it to the meetings and everything, but pull up the videos. I highly suggest that people pull up the videos and the agendas and educate yourself as to what has happened this year.
In fact, we'll maybe we'll do that. If not in our next episode, we're going to be doing these episodes every 2 weeks indefinitely at this point, likely for the duration of the summer. So stay tuned to us every 2 weeks, and we'll try. If not the next episode in 2 weeks, we'll try for the one after that. We'll get the footage. We'll have it available on the Boiling Point podcast because it's all public knowledge, and maybe we'll go through it with the people and give them a hand in case they want to understand what's happening. Because I've
That would be
watched a
great.
couple. Yeah, I've watched a couple, and procedurally, it can get confusing. It's a school board; it's bureaucracy.
Hmm.
You could get confused and not understand what you're watching very easily. So, we'll get some clips, get some clips from various school board meetings, and we're going to show them on the Boiling Point podcast on the next episode. We'll do a segment on that, and we'll show you how there was no violation because it's all public knowledge anyway. So we're not going to get ourselves into any trouble by showing you and breaking it down and
Right.
actually proving how there was no violation anyway. So look for that in the next episode. We'll break that down. But for this episode, we're going to move off of that now. So we'll come back to that at another time, and we won't talk about anything regarding like within the lawsuit itself right now because we're not trying to get into trouble, and we're likely already going to be causing, drawing some heat on ourselves anyway, as we already have.
That's
So, but
correct.
let's pivot off of this because this is not the only issue that the school board faces. That was just one. That's just one, and look what it turned into. There are many, many other issues plaguing the school district right now, and the first one that we're going to talk about tonight, I think it's very important, and that's bullying. Mariana.
That is correct. Right now, we have what I call an epidemic of school violence and bullying in the West Shore School District. Now, I get calls every day, and there's somebody I know that's watching me right now, Christy, that can attest. I get calls at 5 in the morning, Jonathan, at 5 in the morning of parents crying over their children being bullied. The parents are going through the right resources. They're going to the principal, the teacher, and whatever. And they're being yes to death. Yes, I understand, but nothing is being done. There is a family that I personally know. Now, for some reason this year, Allen Middle School have been a hot mess. I've gotten so many calls about Allen Middle School. It's a hot mess. But there's a particular family that I do know, okay, that this particular child has been bullied by the same bully ever since elementary school and now to the middle school. It has gotten so egregious that the child has had to go for therapy. Okay, because it takes an impact when you're being bullied. It takes an impact. Okay, as of late, maybe I would say
Oh,
3 weeks, three,
can
four
I
weeks ago.
let me interrupt you for just one
Hmm.
second, Mariana. I just want everybody to know that we're reaching out to some of these parents as well, to try and see if they're willing to come on, or at least let us talk more specifically about what's going on.
Hmm.
So just just know that we are trying, but that's why Mariana, some of what she's saying is going to be vague a little bit, because we're being careful, we're respecting people's privacies. And until people give us the okay about mentioning anything, we're not going, going to give specifics in terms of people. So I just
Right.
want people to understand that that's why we're talking about this, because we.
Now, just for you to know, I do have the permission of this particular parent.
Oh, okay, very good. Then
Okay.
that
And I
clears it up.
also mentioned that if you pull up the last school board meeting, I also mentioned it there 'cause with the permission of the parent.
Okay,
This
so then
parent spoke
yes,
to the principal. The principal has been ignoring the situation. This parent filed a what is it called, assault report on this child. Okay, this child has not been suspended. This child has not been called on the rug, nor their parent. So 3 weeks ago, her child was attacked again by the same bully. This time in the bathroom, and his body slammed on the bathroom floor. Now you know that that's tiles. Okay, to the point. Okay, beat up so bad to the point that the child had to be taken to the emergency room. Now, the West Shore School District has a 15.1 deficit. Okay, we're in the hole, $15.1 million. Out of that $15.1 million, $9 million of that goes to cyber school. Why? Because the parents are fed up with the bullying. The parents are fed up with all these agendas that they're pushing, that they're pulling the children out of the school because the school cannot protect them. Tostos, the superintendent, is aware of all this, okay, has not found any resolution to any of this. So the parents are fed up and we're losing kids to cyber school. But when you go to the meetings, they're shaking their fingers at the parents. We're in the hole because of the cyber school children. No, you're in the hole because you have not done your job in protecting these kids. Number one, these kids no longer feel safe. These kids are asking to be pulled out and go to cyber school because of the inability of the administration to do their job. And then you add on to it, the grades that are not good. You've seen the PSSA scores that were horrendous this year also. Okay, so the kids are not learning anything. They don't know that 1 plus 1 is 2. But like I stated in my last podcast with you, they know pronouns. They know. Okay, but they don't know that 1 and 1 is 2. So now they're shaking their fingers. We're in the hole because of the kids that are going to cyber school, because $9 million of that is going to cyber school, and that little hole is going to get deeper because this coming school year, I know off the top of my head about 5 more parents that are putting their kids out as we speak and enrolling them in cyber school for next year.
so what's the policy if a student is being bullied? What's the do you can you speak to the policy, or what are they supposed to do? What's a parent to do if their kid is being bullied? What's a student to do?
Well,
What if we have any students watching this, or parents? But what is a student or a parent supposed to do if they're being bullied?
by the most part, we always say follow the chain of command. Okay, go and speak to the principal. They should be able to resolve it at that level, but that's not happening. Okay, the principals are not looking into it, they're brushing it off. Okay, they're seriously brushing this off. After that point, like the parent that I was speaking about, the parents, they came to the school board and they spoke to the school board about it. Actually, Tostos told them, oh, well, this is an easy fix. Well, obviously it wasn't, because the problem is still there. All right, so they spoke to the school board. Tostos is supposed to pull the parents aside. What's the issue? Take his notes and go follow up. Okay, so it's an easy fix. The problem was
Easy
never
fix.
fixed.
I can't
Okay,
believe someone said bullying is an easy
yeah,
fix.
he said it was an easy
That
fix.
Yeah, that
Mhm.
to me is astonishing. Just that statement alone, that bullying is an easy fix,
And those were his
is
terms because I was there when he said it. Okay,
super.
so nothing has been done. The parents have been following up because they're very responsible parents. It got to the point that not only the principal, but Todd Stokes, the superintendent, stopped responding to their emails. Okay, and wanted to close this as resolved when nothing's been resolved. The kid ended up in the emergency room. Okay, like 3 weeks ago. So how are you going to mark this as resolved? Okay, so it's gotten to that point, and it falls on the administration because you know what? It's like I said to him in the last meeting, he needs to stop being an advocate and start being the superintendent that we hired him to be. And believe me, we pay him a pretty penny. Okay, he needs to do his job. You need to be able to at least protect our kids. So the chain of command is go to the principal. Okay, if the child needs counseling, that's great. Some children do need counseling.
Where's
If you get nothing done there, go to the superintendent. If he's doing nothing, go to the school board. Okay, and unfortunately, this can escalate to other things.
where are the guidance counselors in this chain
Good
of
question.
command?
Good
Where are
question.
the isn't that what a guidance counselor's job is supposed to be? Aren't they supposed to be there for the kids? When a kid's having problems like that, aren't they supposed to be able to go to their guidance counselor and be able to talk?
That's a good question. Okay, and that's a question that I would need an answer to. I know they were approached by the resource officer. I know that this particular child that I spoke to that was being bullied, the resource officer was trying to have the child say that he provoked it when the child didn't provoke it.
What's a resource officer?
A resource officer is what we call back in our days, okay, like a police officer or a security officer in the school, okay. And if there's any act of violence, it's supposed to be reported to the resource officer, and the resource officer is supposed to report it to the school board. And that's not happening either, because a lot of these acts of violence and these issues of bullying, the school board never heard about it. Okay, they don't hear about it until the parents show up to the meeting and say this is what's happening. So they're not, see, the administration themselves is not following the chain of command. These issues of violence, of bullying is supposed to be reported. Okay. And it's not being reported to where it should be reported.
Now, let me ask you: do you know where's the breakdown? Is the breakdown in the you're saying that the superintendent is a problem, but what about the principals? Are they a potential problem too, or is the
Okay.
information getting lost at the superintendent level?
We have some excellent principals. Unfortunately, the one in Allen Middle School is not. Okay. He
Where
is
the
a
problem
potential
is?
issue. He is an issue himself. Allen Middle School, the principal is an issue himself, because this is not the first case of bullying that's gone, ignored by him. Okay, it's not. And when the parents want a reply or they want actions, he gets agitated and angry at them. This particular family that I spoke to you about, the last time they met with him, he kicked them out of his office. Okay, they kick and the parents had it at this point. They're like, my child is never going into a school in the West Shore School District again. Okay, and are the parents looking for other resolutions? They probably are. Okay, or other issues,
So this is
remediations. They probably are. But yeah, and again, it's not as though the superintendent did not know about this from when it started. They're just brushing it under the rug.
so we're it's sounding to me like it's almost an institutional failure at this point. If
Yes.
the principals aren't doing anything, the guidance counselors are nowhere to be found, and the superintendent is just trying to brush it under the rug. So
Mhm.
what does the school board, in the terms of bullying, what do the school board have within their purview? How can
Oh,
they?
I have a good answer for you on that
Excellent.
one. Are you ready? Okay.
Yeah.
So the parents that I was speaking to you about contacted the school board, and they wanted a school board member to go with them into the meeting, okay, with Tostos and the principal. There's a policy in place that the school board members are not allowed by Tostos to go into this meeting, even if the parents ask for it. Now, keep in mind that the school board are their bosses. Okay, and they're not allowed. He's tying their hands for them not to get involved. So, but when you come to the meetings, okay, everybody's blaming the school board. You people have the power to change this. You people, no. No, the one that has the power to change this is Todd Stoltz, and he's tying the hands of the school board. And that's something, that's a policy that needs to be revisited and that
And
needs to be changed.
whose policy is this?
To my understanding, it is the West Shore School District policy.
And
Okay, and even
does
when they go to the meeting, they have to go to Stoltz.
the superintendent have the ability to just change school policy?
Um, In an ideal world, to my understanding, most superintendents do not. I mean, they have a say that can be considered. Okay. But unfortunately, in the West Shore School District, he's been
Was
given too much authority. He
all right.
has too much of a say. Okay. And that needs to be reined in.
All right, hold on. Let me rephrase if I can rephrase that question. Was there a vote by the school board to enact this policy of school board members not being able to have a meeting with the superintendent?
I don't have the direct answer to that particular question because if there was, it was with the former school board. Okay, not the ones that we have in place now. It was with the former school board, and I would have to research on that because I'm sure that there may be some a parent or two that I may ask that have been in these board meetings for years that should be able to answer that question for you. So I will
Okay,
research that for you.
then we will. All right, then we will shove that one until the next episode and cover that more in the next episode there because I'd be very curious to know about the how the policy was changed there. Was it a vote by the
Hmm.
school board or is the superintendent just deciding policy now without a vote? And which to me would sound like a violation of the Sunshine Act.
I would say so too.
So just putting that out there as well.
Hmm.
So then, what can you? Let's go back to the school board then. Now that the school board has been flipped, what can be done? What can the school board do to help with this bullying problem, or can they not do anything?
Well, it all depends. Okay, they say that they can't do anything because the way it works, and I believe this was spoken in maybe last meeting. Um, if they're gonna suspend a child, okay, the school board will be like part of the jury and like the little trial to suspend or expel the kid, whatever the case may be. So they're saying that they have to be impartial and they can't participate in that. Now, what's gonna happen? Listen, I don't know. Okay, if any change in that is gonna take place, I don't know because any change that the school board is trying to make, the majority that came in, because they're actually listening to the people. They're listening to the parents and the changes that they want to make that the community is asking, there's a big pushback on
A big pushback from whom?
from the community. What's happening is that there's mobs organizing, okay, of leftist woke people coming in and screaming, and you can see it in the videos. You can see meetings of 4 hours plus long of people just screaming at them because they don't want the will of the people to take place. They want their agendas in place, and don't you dare touch those agendas. And they
Those,
have invited media. I'll have you know, we've had media there. Okay, and the media takes everything, flips it around, and puts the new school board members in a bad light.
yeah, I noticed that. That's what I was saying earlier about the coverage of it because they're not covering it right. Only when
Mhm.
like when they make those big demonstrations, and and the media doesn't even cover it the way they want either. I saw the report where they're saying it's where they gave it like three sentences, and they basically said it was chaos, like it was
And
just
I'll have you
chaos.
know something. Okay, I'll have you know something that I recently found out. Okay, um, you see those big mobs coming into the West Shore School District and other school districts. Okay, of the woke, what I call the woke mob. All right. It's not that all those people are in our community. Yes, a few of them are from our community. Okay, but they have organized in such a way that, let's say I'm in Cumberland Valley and I want to protest a decision that the school board there is making. I'm calling the woke mob from New Cumberland. I'm calling the
Yeah,
woke mob from Harrisburg, and they're all coming together to show
they
like they're a
are.
big number, and they're not.
They are good. They are good at organizing and making the
Hmm.
most noise. That's
Correct.
something that they are good at. But based on the fact that the school board flipped, that to me says that the parents, the people are on the more conservative side, and that's what they want. So, so the school board, what can they change policy? Can the school board change policy? Is it up to the superintendent? And what can they do anything to hold the superintendent accountable?
The school board can change policy because that's part of their job. Okay. In the normal world, the superintendent may have a say. Okay. But can he himself change policy? No. Okay. Now, when it comes to the superintendent, um, his contract was renewed before the new school board member came in.
Okay.
Okay. Now, so he's not up for a contract renewal, unfortunately. And they renewed that contract before it was supposed to. The date for the renewal came. Okay. Now, he's not up for a renewal, but he may be up for an evaluation. And honestly, um, I tend to believe that maybe they should consider a probationary period until we see the results as parents, okay, that we need to see from a superintendent. Number one, protecting our kids. I mean, that's like number one right now, protecting the children. A lot of parents are concerned about that. And also the quality of the education, bringing back West Shore excellence, academic excellence. Okay. So I believe that there should be a probation, and I'm not the only parent saying it, that there should be a probationary period for him to get his act together.
So there are things that the school board can do to hold him accountable or to change policy.
There are things that they have to do. Now, granted, there's always, a list of regulations or guidelines that has to be followed. Are there things that any school board can do? Yes, yes, but that's on their discretion.
Yeah. So but now that the school board is flipped, they do like the power is within the school board. There's
Yes,
things that they are going to be able to do to try and start changing these things.
yes,
Just
and they're trying hard, but
yeah,
I'm telling you, they're
no,
getting
Dave,
ahead of a pushback.
that's where I was actually going. Gonna say next is that even though they do have the power right now and they are trying to change the power, they are facing a lot of pushback.
Hmm.
And I want to tell all the school board members, right now that I know the media has been covering it the wrong way or not covering it at all. And the Boiling Point podcast is certainly not the biggest channel or the biggest media outlet out there at the moment, but you do have some media support now. It's time to start getting out there. Lawsuits separate, of course, but it's time to start getting out there and start trying to reach the people. And I don't mean just here on this podcast. I do mean there's other things you can do to reach out to parents and to reach out to the people as well. So I think it's time
Yep.
for the school board members to be active and to take on this hate and these roadblocks and all the adversity that they're facing. You got to take it head on.
And the
You-
sad thing, Jonathan, is this, that that's one aspect, okay, the community. So that's one aspect. But then you have the pushback from the administration and some of the board members that are still sitting there from the previous board. Okay. For example, we all know what happened with the Brins organization. Okay. The Brins organization was in our school giving this health class, okay, without a contract. Now, unfortunately, the curriculum that they present is not the curriculum that they follow. Because I can tell you by my own kids, one of the things that they've done is they put female on the blackboard and male, and they put a tape over it saying that there's no such thing as male or female. Okay, other parents have spoken about how they were teaching little girls of where and how to go for an
And isn't,
abortion.
and isn't that
Okay,
the reason? And isn't that the reason why you need contracts? Then isn't if that's the
exactly.
point of having the contracts? And now let me ask you this: any organization or anything that comes into the school, they need a contract in order to do that, right?
Correct, correct.
And
They
isn't
need a
that the
contract.
legal? And because it's children, isn't that there's a reason that a contract is required?
A contract, a background check, because you know that I worked in the education system myself. Okay, so you need a contract, you need background checks and things of that nature. I'm sure they probably did the background check, but there was no contract. And here I did another right to know. Okay, and this is for the Brins organization. I don't know if you see that there.
Yeah, we see
Okay,
it.
all right, and this I wanted to know how much of our monies we were paying to these people. Okay, and we were paying them according to this. Well, we paid them a total, and this is, let me see if I have the year here. This is this was provided to me on February 5th, 2024. Up to that point, um they receive a total of $21,599.75, and these are the payments to the Brins organization. So we're paying this kind of money to a organization that did not have a contract. And then they weren't even taught about our policies, because our policy says that a parent have the right to see the curriculum. So when a parent requested to see this curriculum, they denied them. And when the parent said, well, it's part of this policy, the Brins organization decided to walk out on themselves. Okay. But it was said that the new board members kicked them out, fired them. No, that was not it at all. Basically, the parent had the right to see the policy. The parent went with two board members to see the policy, and that was their right. Okay, they went, and of course, Tostos gave a interview to the media, saying that the board members that went had no decorum during the meeting, which is a lie. I mean, the meeting went well according to everybody, and he wasn't even in that meeting to make such a statement. But what concerns me more is the tax money. Okay, this is taxpayers' money.
Yeah,
Okay,
are they still being paid?
Well, they did a meeting, to my understanding. Yeah, was I in the meeting? I was in the meeting, yes. And they gave the curriculum that they present, which again, like I'm telling you, Jonathan, they present a curriculum that's not very offensive, but what they're teaching is something other than the curriculum in the books. And
Yeah.
it was renewed. I think it was only renewed until the end of the year, something to that
Now, who
effect, and
renewed?
then they'll revisit that again.
Who renewed it?
The school board.
So the school board did renew it, even though they didn't have a contract.
Yeah, now I believe they have a contract now. I'm almost sure they have a contract now. But
Yeah,
they did whatever, research that they needed to do. Now
and
it's not an eternal renewal, but I think it's only to the end of the year. But I can be wrong, but I think it's till only to
we'll
the
have to find
end of
that
the year.
out. We'll
Yeah.
find that out as well.
Yeah, I'll
For
pull
the
the video on
future
that one.
show. Okay, so all right, so then if they got recontracted though, then but you're saying that they're still not providing the curriculum, or they're not teaching the curriculum that they showed the parents.
Correct, because and we get this from our own children. The stories that a lot of parents, including myself, okay, we've heard when they come in and the things that they teach. I mean, listen, I'm sorry, but a middle school young lady doesn't need to know where to go get an abortion. One
Well,
thing, if
that should
they
be a
teach
doctor. That should be a
right.
medical thing with a doctor,
And the thing
in my
is,
opinion. But
I'm sure you and me are not that far in age. At least I don't think so. Okay, I can be wrong because look at my grade. But anyway, when we were in school, we had biology and we had class that talked about the changes that were going to happen in our body and the anatomy and all that other stuff. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. This is how the guy stuff work. This is how the women stuff work. Okay, fine. All right, but it's something extra now. Okay, and it's another way of pushing woke agenda within these classes.
yeah, it's not just biology anymore. Now they're talking about other
Exactly.
stuff. They're talking about political things and
Hmm.
things that should be decided with families and doctors, not within schools.
Correct.
Yeah. So all right, well then we'll hold off on that. You said till the end of the year. The end of the school year is coming up, so we'll revisit that and find out if they're going to be renewed. Um, and we are going to continue. We have many other topics that we're going to talk about in future episodes. But I want to say one other thing to the school board and the majority and the minority, is that now that the Boiling Point podcast is here and we're covering this, I'm going to keep asking these kinds of questions. I'm going to keep finding out who's the one, where are the decisions laying at. The school board, some of these decisions are going to fall to your feet. You're going to have to vote right. You're going to have to vote right, or we're going to cover the truth. If you're not voting for these changes, we're going to report that. Okay. So I just want everybody to understand that now that we're here, if you vote wrong on a policy after we've covered it and it being wrong here, we're presenting it in a wrong fashion, like the biology and stuff. If a vote comes up and you vote to keep this curriculum or keep these people or keep this policy, we are going to call you on it.
Yes, we
So
are.
be aware of that now. We're not just we're here to help, but we're also here to hold people accountable. All people. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. You're going to be held accountable now that the Boiling Point podcast is covering this and talking about this. Children's educations are too important to not to. So just know that all school board members, doesn't matter conservative or liberal. Now that the Boiling Point podcast is here, we're going to call you on your votes. And we'll always be watching because your school board meetings are out there for public consumption. So we'll always be watching now. And we're going to be including some clips in the show. So for the guys that don't like us, buckle up because we're just getting started. Look for us again in 2 weeks. That is when we are going to continue this series and continue our coverage. Like I said, we got many things coming up next. Bullying will certainly be back on the agenda, and we're going to point a finger at the school board themselves as to why we think bullying is so systemic within the West Shore School District. Mariana, what are some of the other topics we're going to be talking about?
Well, I think we also need to talk about what's happening with the budget. Okay,
Oh yes,
and that yes.
hold on. I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off.
Hmm.
Thank you for bringing up the budget. We will be bringing you an entire budget episode. We are going to break down the entire budget in one episode. Okay, so look for that. That's not going to be next week or in 2 weeks, but we will be putting together a budget episode sometime this summer as part of this series. Okay, so yes, we will be doing that. Absolutely.
And we have 2025, so another school board elections coming in 2025, and it's very crucial because the most difficult region to get somebody to run like a conservative voice is region 1, which is the region that I'm in, okay, because this region is totally left. And so we're praying that God brings the correct people to run, okay. And also, what I want to say to the parents is this: listen, don't listen to all the noise that you see in the media. Stop reading pen lives. I call them pen
Oh,
lives.
please
you
stop
know
reading Penn Live.
yeah, stop
Please.
reading the York Dispatch, okay?
Oh
Because
man.
what they're giving you is misinformation.
Oh,
And they
please.
have, and the thing is this, they have minions in the West Shore School District that's feeding them all this. Okay. And then feeding it the way they want it to be presented. Let me tell you this: the majority that is in at the moment, they care about the parents, they care about the kids, they want to bring classic education back into the West Shore School District. They're striving towards it. I'm gonna tell you, out of all the school board meetings, and they all deserve kudos, but Mrs. Brent has taken fire like you can't believe, Jonathan, because she's
Yeah,
been
no, yeah.
very vocal on this. So please, I'm asking the parents, stop listening to these sources that's giving
Please,
you misinformation. Call these
please
school
stop
board
listening.
members. Call
Please.
me. Call Jonathan. Call, Christy Spangler. Give us a call, and we will give you the notes. We will give you. I have a whole bunch of rights to know. I will give you the rights to know. Get the facts, and you have the power to do these rights to know and educate yourself. So please, 2025 is going to be a crucial year.
Yeah,
We
and
have to
please.
get the right people in place.
Yeah, yeah, and that's why we're doing this. It's an election year, not just nationally, but locally, and we're going to be doing this all the way through. Like I said, not just through the summer. The opening series of us covering all these issues, that's going to take place through the summer. But as long as the parents of the West Shore School District want the help of the Boiling Point podcast, we'll be covering it for long after the summer as well. So we will be here. Stay tuned to us. And in fact, forget Penn Live because they're just the worst. They're awful. Please don't
Yes.
ever listen to anything Penn Live. Don't go unfollow them right this second. Don't waste any time because they're awful.
Yes, they are.
Don't do that. And I'm gonna say something to ABC 27, Fox 43, NBC 8, ABC 27, the Sentinel newspaper, the Patriot newspaper, Penn Live, and all the other local news stations around here. This is the Boiling Point podcast, and you've just been scooped. I am your host, JD, alongside my guest for this episode, and she'll likely be back for many more of the episodes through this series as we continue to uncover everything that's happening in the West Shore School District. Now that we wrote this story, look for us every 2 weeks for the remainder of the summer and likely long after that. And we were going to present to you the truth and the facts as they are. Stop listening to the mainstream media. They're not giving you the facts. We're going to give you the facts. Start tuning to the Boiling Point podcast because we've been educating, entertaining, and informing since 2020, and we're just getting warmed up.
That's right.
That's the end.
That's the end. Thank you.